I'd like to talk about with this is my own story with respect to depression. So, for me, the depression and anxiety very much go hand in hand. And I started initially with anxiety and was diagnosed with that at first. And then as I continued to have issues with work, then I eventually was diagnosed with depression. And I can't say that my story is really any different than anybody else. I'm just wanting to tell it so somebody out there can feel like they are not alone. That there are others out there that are dealing with similar things. And so for me, a lot of my anxiety has to do with, and I just figured this out, has to do with imposter syndrome. And I think I'd like to do another podcast or another episode on it, just imposter syndrome in general. But my anxiety and depression are centered around imposter syndrome. And it wasn't until I was talking with my counselor that it was a light bulb moment, because she was asking me what caused my initial anxiety. And it was that I felt like I had to be perfect. And I still feel that way from time to time. And I felt like at the time that I was just not meeting the expectations of my bosses. And so initially I felt like I wasn't meeting the expectation of my boss. And I was extremely overwhelmed with that feeling, because it felt like no matter what I did, I could not meet her expectations at all. And then I ended up moving into a different position, still feeling not confident, and going into another position that was brand new. And the same thing happened there. Like, I felt like I could not meet the expectations of the leadership team. And I tried everything that I could, and it just continued to snowball. Like, I do have a learning disability, and I do learn a lot slower than others. And it takes me a long time to understand something. It takes me a long time to memorize something. It takes me a long time to read through something. If there is training that lasts, say, an hour, it takes me probably about 3 hours to get through it, because I have to write notes. And when I was going to school, I had to learn how to learn. And I didn't learn that until I got into college. And so now I think I have a clear understanding of how I need to learn. And so when I do that, if I have to take an hour-long training, I use my technique, which is taking notes, really, to learn. Because for me, I have to write things down. I seem to comprehend it a lot better. And so going through this and going into a new job, I was doing all the things that I could, but I felt like I could not learn fast enough for them. And I could not meet their expectations. And I felt so stupid, because I just kept failing, and I kept failing, and I kept failing. And that tends to lead to more failure. From my experience that I had, that I had basically was set up to fail. And I'm not saying that they set me up to fail, but I was set up to fail from the very get-go, because I went in with no confidence, and I continued to lose any kind of confidence that I had, because I kept failing. And so I kept not doing well at the job. And then it just snowballed from there. When I was having problems with learning, and I was having memory issues with respect to my learning disability and being able to comprehend things, it was like a double-edged sword. I was not able to learn well or fast because of my learning disability, and then I was not able to learn well or fast because of the depression and the anxiety that I was under. And top that to age of going through menopause, I was set up to fail from the very get-go. And I'm not trying to point fingers. I did everything in my power to be successful, and I just think from the very start I wasn't. And so it was a really awful experience, and I eventually left that job and into a new position that I felt really successful at. I was starting to get my confidence back. It was a job that I thought that I could do well. My boss and I got along really well. I really enjoyed working with her. And quite honestly, it was probably one of the best years of my career, just because I really enjoy everything that I was doing. But occasionally, my anxiety and depression would creep in, and I would start to feel like I wasn't meeting expectations. And she had no expectations on me whatsoever. That was the joy that I had with this position, because I had a lot of freedom with it. And she didn't have really any stringent expectations. We just discussed how we were going to do the position because it was brand new, and I was the first one in it, so it was brand new. And we talked about how we were going to move forward with the position, and with that, I was able to set a standard, if you will, for the position, and there were things that she wanted to accomplish, and I helped her accomplish that. Unfortunately, she did end up retiring long before we could accomplish really anything. And so I feel like there's this pattern. Like the first position, I didn't stay long enough to really accomplish anything. And I felt like I was failing. The second position, again, I felt like I was failing and I didn't get to really accomplish anything. Then I went to another position, and while we were getting along great and we were doing great things and we were moving forward, then she retired. And again, I didn't get to finish, what we started together. And then now currently, actually, there was another short time frame in there where I did a temporary position, and the person that I was under at the time very much to me felt like these other two people with their expectations. And I felt really stupid working with her, because not because of the relationship or anything, but I put her on a pedestal because she's really smart, she's really good at her job, and we don't think the same. This is where the neurodivergence come in. We don't think the same. And so when she would request something of me to do a quick task or something, I would interpret it how I would interpret it, and then I would provide her how I thought she wanted the task done. And 10 out of 10 times I provided her with not what she was wanting. I started to learn that I needed to send her an email and say, okay, this is how I interpret what you have asked of me. If this is incorrect, could you please explain? Or could you please provide additional information? Or something like that. I had to find a way to accommodate her to help accommodate my neurodivergence. And so there was that little time period of working with her and feeling, again, not like I was meeting her expectations. And so I started to lose confidence. And I was really struggling. I was struggling before, but I'm struggling again. And so that's also, too, where the PTSD comes in. Because I, before, was having these issues and not feeling like I could meet expectations. And the PTSD, I felt like I was in a similar situation. And so my anxiety and depression really kicked in. And I'm still in that zone right now, even though I've gone on to another position, which I really love. I love the people I work with. The team is really great. I've enjoyed working with them. I think we work really well together. But my anxiety is really just there waiting to come alive, if you will. And so I've had a couple of struggles. Like I didn't go to work last Monday because I struggle if I have a really long break, because 5 days around Christmas, that when I go back, I struggle with the anxiety of getting back into the routine of work. And so that Monday, I was really struggling with anxiety. And so I ended up spending the day in bed. With the depression, which is really what this whole diatribe is about, is that, like anyone, my depression puts me at a really low spot. So when I was at my worst a couple of jobs ago, and I felt like I wasn't meeting their expectation, that I didn't get out of bed. And this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the details of the depression that I was under or in, because I know that others are out there feeling this way. because I was extremely depressed, and I still am, but maybe not to the level I was then, I did not get out of bed. I kept a big thing of peanut butter by my bed with a spoon and paper towels, and I would just eat peanut butter during the day. So I didn't have to go downstairs and eat. I knew I needed to eat, but I didn't care about eating, so I didn't want to go downstairs and eat. So I just ate peanut butter. 2 months. On occasion, I think I maybe on occasion did eat a few things in here and there, but overall, it was mostly peanut butter during that time. And I didn't shower. I didn't shower in those 2 months. And I know that's gross, and I know people are going to judge me for that, but that's what depression is, not showering. And I still do that, not to the length of 2 months, but there are times where I will go a week and a half maybe with not showering because I just don't feel like showering. And I know for a fact that the shower is going to feel good. And one of my favorite things to do is shower and have really fresh bed sheets. But sometimes even that can be overwhelming to do and do laundry. And so I may not do laundry as often as I should. Again, I know that's gross, but that's what depression is all about. And so when I was at my worst, I went no showering for 2 months, and I ate peanut butter off the side table next to my bed. I didn't have dogs then, so I didn't have to worry about letting them out and going for a walk, which was helpful at the time. But I also knew that I needed to get myself out of that. And so that was the reason why I went and got a dog, because I was like, I need something to force me to go outside and do something different. And so I got a dog, and I love her. She's incredible. She's the best thing that's happened to me, and I appreciate her patience with me with respect to not going on walks every day, because I know she deserves it. And she loves going out, but it can be hard. But anyway, during those 2 months, I actually was on Family Medical Leave Act, and which gives employees 3 months of time to it keeps their job. For me, it was to try and get rid of the anxiety, but I always knew I was going to have to go back to work. And so my anxiety was never at a level that was comfortable. And same with the depression. The depression was, I always knew I was going to have to go back to a job that I felt like I was failing at. And I just kept failing. Because I just kept not wanting to go back. I dreaded it. And that feeling is still with me today. Hence, I think the reason for the PTSD is I dread getting up and going into work. Even though now I love the position that I'm in, and I love what I'm doing, and I feel like I'm making a difference. But that too is something that I associate with my job, is finding something that is fulfilling and that I feel like I'm making a difference. Over the last several years, I have not really felt that, and even things that I had prior to those positions were taken away from me for one reason or another. And so things that I was working towards or working on that really provided fulfillment and felt like I felt like I was really making a difference and contributing to the organization. And which is currently the thing that I'm doing now really does do that. It's about recruitment. I'm part of a recruitment team, and so I really love it. I love recruiting. I love working with students. It's a lot of fun for me to see them be successful, and that's what I'm doing now, which is a ton of fun. Thing is that everything is still there. All of the insecurities and everything that I dealt with is still very much a part of my life, and it's very difficult to continue to go down this road because I just want out. I just want this chapter of my life to close so I can go on and actually live a comfortable life. Because I see, like I said in a recent reel, I think it was reel, or it may have been a short, I don't remember, but is that I see people that I know going out and doing things and living life and seeing family and going out of town and so on and so forth. And I'm really jealous of that. I'm really envious of them being able to do that. And I actually at one point was somebody that could do that, and now I'm not. I wanted to tell my story, and I wanted to kind of get into the details a little bit because I wanted people out there to know that you're not alone, that depression can be so overwhelming at times, and I think, unfortunately, the only people that really understand it are those who are in it. So that's why I wanted to share my story, because I wanted people out there to know that you're not alone and that we will try and get through this together. It's going to be a hard journey. It already has been a hard journey, but I'm really trying to get through this, and I just want to invite you to join me.